metals and non-metals. In text, question 4. So the question given here is, write the equations for the reactions of iron with steam and calcium and potassium with water. So let's get started. When a metal reacts with steam, then the products formed are metal oxide and hydrogen gas. See, we have already discussed this in the properties of in the physical properties of metals, wherein we have seen that there are some metals which react with cold water, there are some metals which react with hot water, and the metals which do not react with any of these sometimes react with steam. Okay, so iron is one of them. Iron metal do not react with hot water, neither with the cold water. Instead, it does react with steam, and let's see how it does. Metal plus steam forming metal oxide plus hydrogen. So this is just a generalized reaction. We can see or we can just memorize it as metal plus steam forming metal oxide plus hydrogen, and red hot iron reacts with steam to form iron oxide and hydrogen. So this is how iron actually reacts with steam. It forms iron oxide and hydrogen, and this is how the reaction looks like. Fe plus H2O forming Fe3O4 plus H2. Okay, so here you can see that water, which is H2O, is in the gaseous form, right? And liquid or water in gaseous forms means steam, right? So we now know that iron reacts with steam to form iron oxide, which is Fe3O4, and hydrogen gas. Now, you may see that the first half of the question is already done, right? Now, next we have to show the equations for the reaction of calcium and potassium with water. So, basically, we have to show the reaction of calcium plus water and then potassium with less water. But before that, do you recall how do these metals react with water? Like, do you recall the generalized reaction or any remarkable thing about these reactions? Let's see. When a metal reacts with water, cold or hot, then the products formed are metal hydroxide and hydrogen gas. So, this is the point where you actually differ the reaction of any metal with steam and the reaction of any metal with water. Okay, see, when the metal reacts with water, it gives us metal hydroxide and hydrogen gas. However, when a metal reacts with steam, it gives you metal oxide and hydrogen. So it's like in steam it gives you metal oxide, and with water, with cold or hot water, it gives you metal hydroxide. So that's how the difference is. Generalized reaction is something like this: metal plus water forming metal hydroxide plus hydrogen. So you have to actually remember or memorize these reactions written in blue and also the yellow ones. But before actually going to the yellow ones, let's just recall or just remember all these reactions written in blue, because they will actually help you in solving many of the questions, just like this one. So now we know that metal plus water forms metal hydroxide plus hydrogen. So can you predict the reaction of calcium and water? Yes, if you are thinking the product formed is calcium hydroxide, you are absolutely right. Let's see. Calcium reacts with cold water to form calcium hydroxide and hydrogen gas, and the reaction is something like this: Ca plus H2O forming CaOH twice plus H2. Okay, so here CaOH twice is nothing but calcium hydroxide, and hydrogen is evolved in the form of gas. Another important point to show or to you should remember this in exams is that, see, when we wrote metal plus steam, we actually showed it in the equation form as metal plus H2O in gaseous form, right? And when we wrote metal plus water, we actually kept H2O in its liquid state. So that's how you will show that that the water is in the liquid form, that is it's in its original liquid form, or it is in steam form. Okay, so that was a point I wanted to point out. So now we have been almost 50% of the question, right? Like we have discussed about iron with steam, we have discussed about calcium and water. The last part is potassium and water. So potassium and water, the reaction has quite importance because it's quite vigorous. And let's see. Potassium reacts violently with cold water to form potassium hydroxide and hydrogen gas. So because potassium reacts so violently with cold water, it is actually known as most reactive element, okay, most reactive metal, because see the metal iron, it doesn't react with cold water, it didn't even react with hot water, instead it reacted with steam. Then see calcium, it didn't react with cold water, however with hot water it gave you calcium hydroxide, right? And now just see potassium, just adding potassium in cold water gives you potassium hydroxide and hydrogen gas, and it's quite violent reaction. So this is how you observe trends in different elements or different metals, and this will actually help you building the reactivity series. See, whatever we are learning in all the modules is just for building the reactivity series, right? So back to the question, we have to write the equation for potassium plus water. So here's the reaction. 2K plus 2H2O forming 2KOH plus H2 plus heat. Okay, so an important point to note here is because this reaction is violent, because it is very much it's quite harmful to actually perform this reaction because it gives you heat. It is an exothermic reaction, okay, and along with energy it gives out hydrogen gas, and potassium hydroxide is formed in its liquid state. So that's how potassium react with water. Last point here is, in this reaction so much heat is produced, get hydrogen gas form, catches fire and burns explosively. Okay, so now you see how much explosive, and that's why I said it's quite harmful to actually perform this experiment or this reaction, because the heat produced is enough for the hydrogen to catch fire and burn explosively. Okay, so this is how harmful this reaction is. So that's all about the question. I would give you this tip, this bonus tip, you say, remember each and every equation mentioned in this chapter. All of them are quite important, and the reactions written in blue, which is a word reaction, or you can say generalized reaction for each case, metal plus acid, or metal plus non-metal, or metal plus any other metal solution, and so on. You have many trends over here, and so you have to remember each of them. They will actually help you build up reactions. Okay, see, even in this case, if you didn't knew the reaction of calcium and water, we did knew that metal and water form metal hydroxide and hydrogen, right? So just by referring the reaction written in blue, you can actually predict the product formed after we consider calcium and water, right? So that's how it's important, and that's all about the question. I hope you understood it. Keep learning. Thank you.